Hello, I'm positive that you can listen to everything I am typing at the moment. So, welcome to this very special stream for celebrating the 10,000 followers that we have on this channel on the Active Motion Pictures channel here in YouTube. All right, I'm going to start the stream right now, and I hope that you enjoyed this very concise 30 minutes or so stream. So, if you're listening to this for the first time and you have arrived to this channel, let me tell you that I am very happy and I welcome you to this live stream where we are celebrating the 10,000 followers in 2020. It is a special occasion because this is the perfect opportunity to reach out to you through this channel to be grateful to God because we are alive. Remember that Christmas is the celebration of Jesus Christ, born into this world to bring salvation to everyone who believes in him and keeps his word. Seek the kingdom of God for your eternal salvation. Put your eyes and faith in Jesus through reading and practicing what the Bible teaches for your life. In addition, I hope you get to celebrate these holidays with your family, your friends, special someone, or your pets in peace and happiness. With this short introduction, I want to thank you, every one of you, who made possible this community with animation in Blender as a common interest. I feel a big responsibility as a Blender Foundation certified trainer to bring you real world cases where you can practice and apply the tips and techniques in your own workflow as an individual artist or as a studio. I started this channel back in 2009, but I actively started to upload more videos in July 2016. And 275 videos later, here we are covering tech notes, time lapses, anime production, video games, and multi collaboration environments. And what's that? I want to tell you all about it in the minutes ahead. I am very happy to keep doing these videos with step-by-step instructions so you too can create marvelous things using Blender, which, as you know, it is an open source software and it will always be because of the general public license. And you should check and read what the general public license says about Blender. You know, it's free forever. It truly is. And big companies like Intel, Nvidia, Google, and recently Amazon AWS are funding the development of Blender, which is a great thing because other media production companies can see there is an important endorsement to use Blender in games, movies, scientific simulations, VR, AR, motion captures, and many other fields in the 3D industry. Also, you can support my channel by using the super chat. I'll be very happy to answer any of your questions through this live stream as well. We are going to cover some topics, so let's continue with a sneak preview of for the Guilty Gear Stylized Series Video 404. This is just a sneak preview of what I am going to be launching at full content in 2021 for part 404. And so part 4A starts right now with the Guilty Gear Strive special shading that we're also going to be reviewing in this video. So as you can see, Guilty Gear Strive, it's the fourth title of the series, and we will talk about the creator and influencer for this new mature style with the characters and the cinematics, as you can see here. New characters, of course, are going to be joining in 2021, and we cannot wait. Alright, this is part 4A for patrons only,
and part 4 of 4 will be completely released once Fixy is fully rigged. Alright, so November rewards are directly to all of these marvelous patrons who are contributing to this material. And now, let's start. Last time we reviewed how much of the style for the Guilty Gear XR the series was due to the fact that Junya C. Motomura, Christopher Motomura, influenced this appealing look for the characters, and we went through different steps to get the right look, including the vertex weight paint map and of course the ILM maps, which you can configure, and they have been thoroughly explained through series in part 1, 2, and 3. And of course, since we cannot distribute the original Guilty Gear models, we decided to create one original model, which is called Fixy, Nurse Fighting Fixy. Well, you can fully customize her now with her complete eye looks, uniform colors, and everything. And we will be talking about why this is important, why color identification for characters is important.
Okay, that was just a sneak preview. So as you can see, there are a lot of things that we want to cover. I will be obviously writing all of the content so that you know exactly what you're going to get once it is available for the public. Because as you saw right now, Patreons got this first part of the complete part 4 series. They got this first part back in November as the November rewards. So they already know what is coming up. But for the general public release, I want to create the entire Fixie animation, which is obviously going to show you how to also manipulate the camera, the part concerning the general look and feel of the model. Okay, and there's another thing I really wanted to mention before jumping into the next video. Um, Guilty Gear Strive original team that developed Guilty Gear X Art is still working on Guilty Gear Strive, okay? But there are some differences in the style, and that is also truthfully explained in the video as to why I think that we should be switching from Guilty Gear X Art and jumping into Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, okay? Because that's the same style, except that the shaders now are being used almost as a PBR. But that I'm going to be explaining it after the series and end with this last video. And of course, the rigged model of Fixie, it's also going to help you understand some of the things that we will be addressing later on. All right, so that covers that, and let's go for the next video. I think this video just exploded on Instagram, at least for me, that I usually get like 10 likes, 20 likes in a very good post. But this thing just went mayhem right now. It's above 1K on likes in just like I think it was like 6 hours or so. For some reason, people really are fond of Blue Eyes White Dragon. And as you know, I do commissions for the Yu-Gi-Oh characters, and there's a big possibility that someone has commissioned this uh, to to do an animation. And of course, if everything goes well, then we can surely count with that kind of style for Blender to do that production. And this brings me to another important subject that I want to address, which is real world production. Because as you already know, for the past 20 years, I've been working in the advertisement industry, the cinema, doing cinema effects, video games, and a lot of other tech related stuff, technical related stuff, such as render farms, testing softwares, etc. But I feel that through these last 4 years that I became a Blender Foundation certified trainer, I have not presented enough proof of concepts, or rather real world applications that use Blender. And I find that it's not a good thing if I want to show you how much more power you can have with this software. It somehow feels like I'm limiting the applications and the implementations on how Blender can be connected in your own pipeline. If you're an individual artist or if you are in a studio, I want to bring you that opportunity by producing real world cases on my side. Of course, you can see how other companies and how other studios are using Blender right now. Like, it is very important that you notice that big companies like Intel, Nvidia, Google, and recently Amazon AWS are funding the development of Blender, which is a great thing because other media productions company can see there is an important endorsement to use Blender, in their products. And 2021 is going to be a year where I definitely want to focus more on production and bring you that kind of application into videos. Why am I doing this? Even though I am a certified Blender Foundation trainer, because I feel that there's a lot of people coming from other 3D fields that are very new to Blender, and they are gaining the concept and the mindset around Blender pretty quickly. And they are implementing their own solutions, implementing their own views of what the software should be. And this is good. Why? Because they don't settle for what we are doing with the software currently. This is so much so that even some companies, which I cannot name at the moment, have reached out to me and said, you know what, Mr. Schiller, we need your advice about this and that kind of add-on that we want to develop for Blender. I cannot say anything at the moment, but just trust me on this one. There are a lot of companies very much interested in Blender at the moment. 2021, it's a key year for collaborative collab collaborate. Oh gosh, this word, a collaborative environment. Okay, so that means that most of the artists in the same studio are working in one Blender session. Everyone is working in one Blender session all at the same time. So real time multi collaboration, it's important for 2021, and I think and I believe that's the name of the game for this year. I'm not predicting like any like psychic guy. No, I'm telling you this from facts. Okay, I myself have been a beta tester for one of the add-ons that I already published a video about it, which is called the multi-user add-on. And just yesterday, the add-on was updated with many other new features, which include real-time collaboration with volumes, real-time collaboration with grease pencil, real-time collaboration with different instance collections. This is awesome. And as you know, Unreal Engine also has their own add-on, which is called, I think it's called Mixer add-on or something like that. I don't remember the name exactly, but they also do this real-time collaboration environment. Whoops, sorry, I was not showing you what I was meant to show you. You've been staring at a blank screen right now. All right, so let's continue. Um, in addition, what I want to do in 2021, first thing in January, God willing, is to bring you the conclusion of the Guilty Gear Stylized series, Part 4, which will bring you Fixie with her own intro, like you see in the Guilty Gear trailers, like the character trailers, that you see there. I want to give you that. It will be yours. When you acquire this last part of the training, you will have everything animated with the shaders, with the lights, with the cameras. Okay, so that is the only reason why I have been delaying um, that last part all the way up until January, because I've been going back and forth with work, family issues, uh, rather family matters, personal projects and stuff. But um, I am committed to complete this as soon as I can, so that you can have part 4 of 4, including all of the topics that will be listed when they are out, such as directional shaping from the camera direction and many other things. Please also keep in mind that the Guilty Gear Strive shader, it's kind of different of what we have been seeing on Guilty Gear XR. I've created this series, as you already remember, back 1 year ago. So, time continues to go on and the shaders just become better and better. And this is why I want to present to you that Grand Blue Fantasy is the next thing to follow in this series, but not in something that I will do, but rather in something that we will base our kind of anime shading in. So let's check it out.
Ewell's flames are gorgeous. Careful, I don't want you guys getting too close. Uh-oh. I'll try and keep him out of the fox flames, but no promises. Hmm? I could have sworn I saw something hopping around here. Barry, you didn't tell me you got a new pet! It's okay. You guys are my only pets. I was just a slime mule. Sorry. I can tell your fire's special. It just burns different. I guess Percival and me could learn from your elegance. Oh, thanks for that. Everybody's got their own flavor, you know? I like how your flame burns bright and strong. Hmm? Now, where do you... This ain't good. I'm too hungry to keep on searching. Zeta, you want to grab a bite after this? No way. I was totally thinking the same thing. In that case, I'll make this quick.
So as you can see, the Grand Blue Fantasy Versus has more the appeal of the Guilty Gear XR series, except that the shader that they are using, it's kind of a mix of a PBR and also a stylized shader, which I find it's a very good combination, because you can feel that there is a realistic light hitting the metals, and of course all of the armatures that they have, all of the armor they have, the swords and everything like that, they do react to a vector light. And it's also a mix, like I mentioned before, with another custom light vector for everything else in the body, because as you can see, Jewel specifically has this the strands of hair that she has. They don't occlude each other. They are always lit, but they do react to light. So like I mentioned before, I'm not going to cover that shader, but we can already establish the basis of how it's done through the techniques that we have seen in part 1, 2, 3, and now 4 of the stylized Guilty Gear shader. So it's just a matter of tweaking the material itself, because as you remember in Unreal Engine, you can customize the material either to react to custom PBR settings, and that is what it's going on here. For the longest time, I was wondering, why do they need a custom glossiness intensity if you can get it straight out of the light? But then I understood, all right, this got to be a PBR based. But we can talk about more of that later. So what you're seeing right now on the screen, it's one of the latest things that I've been working on, one of my personal projects for 2021, which is going to be the art book of the world of Fixy. Okay, Fixy, as you know, the character, the 3D character, is going to be open. It is open source already. So if you want to use it for your projects, if you want to use it for your game, go ahead. One thing though, you cannot register as your own. Of course, it's protected by the license as intellectual property to be modified and shared. Okay, you cannot claim it as your own, but you can use it any way you want because it's open source. You don't have the rights. No one has the rights, and therefore it can only come modified from the source, which in this case it's from me. But I'm not claiming any kind of intellectual property over it. So that means that you can derive and do things with that. You can also read the license which is included, which I bid you to read, please, so that you know what you can do and what you cannot do. Anyways, so um, Krita. Let's talk about Krita because one of the things that I've experienced for the past 2 weeks was this fear through the user interface. When you open Krita, you sometimes find the panels going around here and there, and you don't exactly know where to start or what shortcuts you should use. So I intend to use this video that you're seeing right now, this time lapse, which lasts exactly 30 minutes. So I know that we can have this time to talk and do the questions, the Q&A, so that you know how to manage the basic things in Krita so that you can also use the advantages of their brushes. Because let me tell you right now, up front, the brushes in Krita are the best thing I've ever used ever since Corel Painter. Okay? Corel Painter, we're talking about 2009, 2007, somewhere around there. And it amazed me the first time I opened that software because you can take a watercolor brush, start painting on the canvas will react to the brush, and the brush also will um, do this trail of water. It felt very realistic. So then things happened. I decided to go full on 3D and forget all about doing art for quite 10 years, actually, 10 or so years. But now I started to talk with one of the Krita most active um, artists, whose name is Ramon um, Miranda. He is a Spanish artist, and he has a lot of the brush packs that Krita brings in natively. Okay, he creates them. He he takes the real media like charcoals, for example, like water brushes, and then he puts them inside Krita. He creates these dynamic brushes even beyond what is meant to be used for the regular artist. For example, if you use ink, you know how ink spreads on the paper, how the paper absorbs the ink. Well, when he creates the brushes, he also goes one step further and brings in, for example, the tilting of the pen. He brings the pressure. Of course, every tablet has pressure sensitive parameters, but the pressure also will influentiate how much, for example, if you're using watercolor, how much of the watercolor will drain, how much of the watercolor will wash. due to the pressure and due to the tilt and due to the speed. And this is something I have not ever experienced in any other software out there. And the best thing is that Krita is also open source. And you want to know more news, more good news? You can directly select inside Blender an external painter editor and you can target Krita. That means that whenever you're painting your textures, you can launch Krita, finish your work there, save your file, go back to Blender, and it will automatically reload that texture for you. That means that all of the artistic brushes that you do not currently have in Blender, you can complement them using Krita. Now, you're seeing the time lapse right here, okay? I did not use that kind of workflow because I wanted to show you how mixing different brushes, different media inside the same canvas can bring awesome results. Lately, I've been studying the uh, Joji Joji Shinkawa, Joji Shinkawa artwork. And who is this guy? He is the creator of the artwork for the Metal Gear series, on PlayStation 1, 2, 3. And he has also done most of the work for Death Stranding as the latest work. He has been working in a lot of video game illustration titles, and his style it's basically a mix, a crossover between Sumi E, the 1960s print shop techniques, and also of course his own artistic touch. And his style is very very appreciated. It's very unique, and everyone who sees Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear whatever series you can check. There is even an art book on that. Everyone recognizes it. So I was studying him, and that brought me here, as you can see in this moment of the video. I am masking certain sections, and then I'm taking the watercolor brush and then I'm painting over it so that when I remove my mask, you can see clean cuts, clean traces, and this is how it's supposed to look. If you remove the lines, you're going to get that kind of zoomy E technique, which is to be understood. It's a technique using brush strokes that capture the essence of the figure that you're trying to draw. Okay? So you need to really dig into this technique because it's really amazing. It's very intrinsical in the Japanese culture for art and illustration. And that's what it makes this looks good. The Street Fighter 5 series, I remember this trailer where Ryu and Ken start fighting and there's all of this ink around them. They do the Shoryuken and they do the fireballs and the Dragon Punch, and everything has ink on it. I mean, that's the very essence of what Sumi E, the technique to paint is. And then you can see it right here. That's why I'm switching on and off all of these layers. So what's the idea? The idea here is to produce an entire art book for the Fixy world, okay? And this is something, like I mentioned at the beginning, this is something that I want to share with you through the Patreons, through the Patreon art supporter tier, because when you create your animation series, because I hope that you someday are aspiring to become an animator or at least do something in the pipeline production of an animation show, especially with anime, then you need to have a Bible, that is how it's called, of the entire universe for that series. For example, if you're creating just one character, like what does this character do? How does he or she dresses to go places? What is his mission in this world, or what is his intention, her intention in this world? What is her conflict? What makes him or makes her, in this case Fixie, what makes her happy? What makes her sad? What has changed her point of view, what has transformed her mentality, what events trigger other events, and such forth. So the idea with the book is to create all of that art style with the reference to the world. So if you want to be successful as a producer, because please bear in mind, I love doing tutorials, but tutorials will not get you where I want you to get, and that is to produce your own series with confidence so that you know how the process begins, how the process ends, okay? And all of the middle sections there is to complete between those 2 points. So that's my intention. Okay, we have 14 more minutes, and let's see if I'm missing anything else. The Guilty Gear Stylized Shader, yeah, we covered that. Yeah, so basically we're on Q&A right now. So if you have any kind of questions, please feel free to write them here in the chat box. I am reading you all. I want to thank you, Sapphire Serenity, Jogesh, N. Elvis G, the Unreal Showcaser, for coming into this live stream. And of course, you can see how the process continues here in the screen. Now I'm switching over to Photoshop just so you can see that you can even mix the two applications, because you already know there are more brushes in Photoshop, but they are not dynamic, not that many dynamic that I know of, or at least that I have. But it is true when they say that your application, your illustration application, it's as good as how many brushes you have. That is why a lot of people use Clip Paint Studio, because their brushes are also very dynamic, are also very robust. But in Krita, you also have this kind of advantages, and that is what you can see here. I think for the final part of this video, Krita is used as well. So right now I'm going to try different mixing modes. And one of the rules in the Zoomy E is that you make a clean trace with only one stroke. Okay, and obviously you want to um, smooth every line that you have as an outline, because obviously you don't want to do that. But I was looking for a semi-stylized, semi-realistic look and feel right here. Now, of course, this is the Ronin guy, which is the antagonist, which is the evil guy, as we can say. And he's going to be fighting against Fixy. And yes, we're going to see them both in part 4 of Thor, into that file that I'm telling you I want to complete, rig, and animate for you. So even if it takes another whole month, even if it has to go to be launched at February, I will do it, so because I really, really want you to have a complete file of two characters fighting in the Guilty Gear style. Okay, why do I want to do this? Because, like I mentioned before, I cannot share or give away the characters, the original characters from the game. So that's why I had to create an entire new character, which in this case is Fixie, using their techniques. Okay, so that you can have them, so you can open them, so you can play them. There are plans even to create a style of moves and actions so that you can just use them as presets. Okay, this thing is huge, so I'm going to be dedicating all of my time after I settle with the client work that I have and family time, of course, because we are in December. But rest assured, I want to put this out completely to your disposal when you can get it and open it and explore it. Because one thing that makes me really happy is when you have real difficult questions. Like, I do not settle for anything less, let me tell you. And yes, COVID hit hard on the world this year, but hopefully, God willing, we can, take our healthy measures healthy security measures to continue to bring more events, probably more live seminars because I really miss the opportunity to show and tell how to use, for example, the sculpting tools like GF Matthew. He's a very skilled artist. He's right here in the chat. He developed the Sculpt Wheel, which is an amazing add-on. I seriously recommend it for every artist out there that is using the sculpting tools. It is similar to Krita, speaking about that same subject. So you can have all of your tools in a wheel where you can choose your presets, and there are also nice implementations there so you can customize it. And as I have read, he is also planning to do this wheel for extending it to, I think it's the texture. Oh, he's already done it. You can also use it on the environment, texturing environment, and the weight paint environment. So it's just amazing. It's mind blowing. So I seriously recommend that you can check that tool and also check some Krita videos because right now I'm finishing here in Photoshop. Yeah, I'm testing here the blending methods because I already mixed a lot of things here and there. And we have still 9 more minutes, so yes, I guess in the next few minutes we will switch back to Krita and then you can see how I was using that. Jabari XV asks, do you sculpt your 3D characters? Yes. If you go back here in the stream, you can see that I did a blue eyes white dragon head, and I was sculpting the topology because when you're working for stylized shaders, you really need to know where your normals are going to be looking at when the light hits them. That is to say that you need to define with a realistic lighting environment your character so that you know how to posterize. The correct term here is to threshold the shadows. Okay, so that's why you know if you need to have more defined shadows, you want more detail, then you need to subdivide your mesh. And like I mentioned before, if you have the sculpt wheel, which JF Matthew designed, um, it helps you tremendously because you have presets already there, presets for your brush, presets for your sizes. It's just fantastic. It's one of the best things that has happened to Blender. I totally feel like I'm doing painting instead of sculpting with that wheel. Okay, the let's see. JF Matthew says, yeah, the CSP brush engine is quite nice too. The CSP, I don't know if you're referring to Krita specifically. Speaking about that, the developer of the brushes, Ramon, he told me there is a new set of brushes coming out for Krita, which are right now in beta, and you might probably not noticed, but I was given the chance to use those brushes here in the Krita example in the first minutes that it was playing back, and those brushes are just amazing. If I already told you about tilt, speed, spread, and washing, like it degrades if you're using a water-based watercolor brush, for example, it degrades over time and speed. Okay, those brushes are like all of those things, but in steroids. You can even create. You actually feel like you're sculpting in 2D. Okay, that's the best way I can put it to you. Like when you press in your mesh. Let's say for example you have a ball, a sphere, and then you're going to sculpt, right? Then you get the light to go through the higher parts as highlights and then to the lower parts as shadows, right? So if you do a stroke, you can feel there's depth. Well, you can do exactly the same with these brushes. I almost give it away with these brushes, okay? Yes, it's that amazing. You can do rocks, you can do volume stuff, but volume in the sense not in particles. Now, volume in the sense of depth, density in a body, face, flowers. I mean, you just name it. With this kind of brushes, with this, I will translate it the best as I can. It kind of is like working with depth in 2D. Okay, that's the best thing I can tell you how they work. But they are really just amazing. Oh, Clip Studio Paint. Yes, yes, definitely. The dynamic brushes there are just superb. There are even a lot of memes over over the internet where they mention that most of the Photoshop brushes are stolen from Studio Clip. I use the Studio Clip a lot of years, uh, but lately I've turned my entire workflow to Blender. And that is the very last news for these 4 remaining minutes. That I'm trying a special tool on Grease Pencil to create storyboards, animated storyboards. And the advantage there is that you work with that in rough sketches and later on refine all of your sketching passes so that the grease pencil sequence can be read into the VSE, that is the video sequence editor. So what I am trying to accomplish, and of course I want to show all of this to you once it's completed, is that you get a uniform workflow inside Blender. Because right now, most of us have to go outside to Photoshop, have to go outside to Premiere Pro or DaVinci. We need to, jump back and forth between softwares. But just this morning, as I downloaded 292, I worked with the video sequence editor and it renders so fast. I was so happy because previously 300 frames in the video sequence editor would take around 1 hour or so. But this morning on 292, it took only around 5 or 10 minutes. It wasn't even that long. Um, and it's just blazing fast. Blender is getting better by the day, especially with all of these big companies' endorsements. So, 3 more minutes. If you don't have any other questions, I'll be happy to end the live stream right now. And I'm glad that you get to see all of this time lapse, which is just incredible. And this art style is going to be used in the Fixy Artbook. Okay, so that's where we're going to see a lot of Fixy world, environments, machines, weapons, everything. And it's going to be yours if you're going to be considering entering into the art support tier in my Patreon, which is patreon.com/3dcinetv. I'll leave it here in the chat. All right, thank you, Turismo Peninsular. Yes, indeed, we are celebrating the 10,000 followers in this channel. So here it is. You can see the final result in Krita, and it's just amazing. One of the things that I really like about Krita is that you can blend almost in real time. You know, when you're trying to blend two colors in Photoshop or you're trying to use the finger tool to blend the two colors together, it takes like forever. And we're talking about Photoshop CS6, as you saw. And in Krita, that does not happen. I mean, it just works so fast. It works in real time. It does not delay. You don't see that sluggishness from a mixing brush. It works just fantastically quick. All right, so we have 1 more minute. If you don't have any other questions, thank you so much. I know this has been a 45-minute stream, which was originally intended for a 30-minute stream. But I want to wish you, every one of you, a very happy holidays, very happy Christmas time. Don't forget to be grateful. Don't forget to be with your family. And if you don't have family, for some reason you have been into lockdown away from them, or something, separates you with each other, do not forget that everything you do um, will will help you endure all of these hard times that we are all living. You're not alone in this. Everyone around here in the community, at least, is also having different kind of struggles. But I'm very happy that in this community we can get support, not only for technical aspects, but also for the human aspect. It is very important because you cannot create anything if you feel down. You cannot create good things if you're feeling down. So thank you very much for coming today, and thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. And if this is the first time you're visiting, my name is Pierre Schiller. I am a Blender Foundation certified trainer, and don't forget to try Blender. Blender is powerful and beyond industry compatible. Thank you very much.